Hi everybody, welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Terry Stiles with my co-host, Jim Hughes. And in this week's news, top 5 candidates selected in the superintendent search. An Oxford High School grad brings NCAA tournament to Oakland. And Dancing with the Stars comes from Oxford. All that and more, the Oxford News begins right now. The Oxford Community School Board has narrowed down the superintendent search in the first 5 rounds of interviews for the top candidates remaining. During a special board meeting in last week's meeting, the school board eliminated 14 potential interviewees and contacted the remaining 5 further interviews. 3 of the candidates are assistant superintendents. One is a superintendent and one is a principal. The home district of the 3 candidates are in Michigan. 1 candidate is from Ohio and the last is from Kentucky. Qualities of this group that stood out to the current board included similar experiences, academic leadership, award, and trauma-informed training. The interviews were open to the public, and the live streams can be found on OCTV's YouTube page. The finalists will spend a day in the district this week, and the final interviews will take place the week of April 2nd. The new superintendent will be selected by April 23rd. Good luck to all those candidates. Jim?
The Pollyann Trail and Oxford Anderson Youth Assistance are teaming up with a 50-50 cannon bottle drive. You probably have a lot of those around the house, right? For more than a month, the month of March actually, we have a few weeks left. The fundraiser will provide both organizations extra support for their programs. And you don't have to worry about putting them in the machines. For the Pollyann Trail upgrades, there are top priority, including replacement of the flashing lights at the crosswalks near Drainer Road and Burdick Street. The old lights could not be repaired, so the fundraiser will help the Trails Management Council cut down on costs. Now, jumping over to the Oxford Addison Youth Assistance, they'll take the funds and various prevention programs. They include family, youth education, workshops, skill building, and camp scholarships. Returnable cans and bottles can be dropped off in the bin on the east side of the Oxford Police Department, which of course is located at 22 West Burdick Street, through the end of the month. And then you don't have to take them back. Terry?
Well, some may say there are too many marijuana dispensaries in town. The Oxford Village has much to gain from their existence because of the excise tax. Village Manager Joe Medor explains on video.
Hi, my name is Joe Medor, Village Manager here in Oxford. I've been asked to comment on some of the information in an article recently put out by the Oakland Press in regards to the excise tax for the marijuana law. Oakland Press stated that Village of Oxford received the amount of around $240,000, and that is correct. It's about $60,000 per retail establishment. We had 4 of them as of September 30th of 2023. That's when the state does a cutoff date, their fiscal year. Currently, we've had 1 or 2 more that will be open soon. And so that will bring us up to 6 eventually. And I think that's all we ever will have open here in the village. Last year we received the payments for 2 operations that we had ending in 2022. That was around $106,000. That was around $53,000 each then, I believe. So the $240,000 that we have received this year, as a matter of fact, last week it showed up in our account. We're using that money for general things such as the $600,000-$700,000 in our parking lot repair this year that will be taking place soon. We have a water main project on Park Street, which the water fund does fund most of the water main work, but the street project is going to be funded in part by the street fund, but as well as some of this general fund dollars that we receive from this marijuana retail money. Retail establishments are the only ones that receive the money because that is where the excise tax that is in place by the law is captured and paid. Those grow facilities you might see in other communities don't produce this kind of excise tax. Those obviously pay property taxes, but that is it. So the retail establishments are the ones that collect and pass on that tax to the state of Michigan. A large portion of it the state sets aside for roads and for schools, And then there's various other things in there as well. And then they dole out the amounts based on however many you have in your community. One of the things I found a little surprising to me was every community, let's say in Oakland County, that gets an allocation for one of the retail establishments, at the county level, they get the exact same amount. So you add up how many there are across the county, and all those communities get paid. That equal amount then goes to the county as well, and that's the same across the state for every county. I don't know what the county's mandates are, or what the requirements are, or what their options are for them to use their money, but I just am aware that they get the equal amount. So the question is, did we anticipate the county money this year, this amount of money? Based on last year's amount of about $53,000 for each, we knew we had 4 of them that were open by the cutoff date of September 30th. So we knew we were going to get paid for 4. We had no idea what the amount of dollars was, because the state bases it on the total revenue and divides it amongst how many retailers there are in the state. And eventually, it might go a lot smaller number, depending on how many there are in the state. But as the market gets more saturated and some of these places end up closing, which I believe will happen, it actually, you might end up getting more per location because there might be less of them to divide the money up by. Okay, so the question whether we have a limit of facilities. No, we took a different approach when we were putting this together, because I had looked at and other people had looked at, and communities were being sued because they were using some lottery approach as to who can get these licenses and who cannot and things like that. And it got a little testy, some lawsuits happened. We took the approach of, if it's in the industrial zone, then you could apply for it. There wasn't any cap. We had literally 10 locations applied. Some of them were vacant lots where the people were going to invest a lot of money and build buildings. At this point, those are, I don't believe, will ever happen. The market rush has happened. Now there's a settling out in the market. We will have 6 of them soon, but I do believe eventually some of those will not make it either as the market gets established. So when it comes to planning for our budget for these funds, I take a conservative approach. I only put in 3, I believe, last year at about $50,000, slightly less than I thought we might have open, and slightly less than we had been paid the year before. Again, I try to do most budgeting in that way, whether it's state revenue sharing or roads funds, same thing. I try to take a little bit of a conservative approach because it's better to have extra money than expect to have it and not have it. So this next year, again, we have our 5th retail operation opened on South Glassby in December. We have another one about to open up on Church Street. I believe that will be all we have open at the end of this period of September 30th of this year. So again, when I budget this year, I will probably budget for all 6 of them, but maybe a little more modest amount per. Okay. Question about policing and what effect it might have on crime or police work related to these locations. My conversations with Chief Sowell and just casually observance of myself, I see no difference. They're very quiet. If you drive by these locations, they're pretty quiet. You see a few cars there. Certain times of the day, maybe it's when people are coming home from work, you might see more cars there. But virtually no change in the amount of police work or police calls or problems arising from these locations. Again, the retail, they aren't establishments where people can go and use the marijuana or smoke the marijuana. It's retail, take your product and go home. Yeah, if anybody has any further questions, they can call us here at the office at 248-628-2543, or they could email me directly at manager@thevillageofoxford.org, or stop on in. We're here Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, and we're available to answer questions.
Thanks, Terry. Looking to run for public office. The positions and petitions are actually open. We have positions and petitions available for the Oxford Township. Oxford Village residents still have over a month to file the nominating petitions needed to run for any type of office. There are seats up for election in several different public offices, which include the Oxford Township Board of Trustees, the Oxford Village Council, and the Board of Education, the Oxford Township Parks and Rec Commission, and also the Oxford Public Library Board of Trustees. Some positions are partisan, which means candidates will appear on the August 6th primary election ballot and even on the November 5th general election ballot. Nonpartisan positions will only appear on the general election ballot. For specific ideas in filing and instructions and information about the position requirements, visit the Oxford Leaders website. They do have that completely published. Terry.
Well, for anyone who has tried to go down Indianwood Road in Lake Orion, the frustration is real. And according to Oakland County Road Commission, Indianwood Road between Joslyn Road and M24 is closed and will remain closed through traffic beyond the original opening date of March 12th, which was last week. Ongoing utility relocation work and tree removal, coupled with an anticipated $2.4 million culvert replacement over Paint Creek, will cause the further delay until April 1st at least. No fooling. Jim?
Thanks, Jerry. And in a segment that we both enjoy, it's called our Behind the Lens segment. This week, it's Pitch Perfect. Congratulations to the Oxford High School and Middle School choirs for their scores at the District Choral Festival. All levels of the singers earned Division I ratings. The High School Chamber Chorus and the 7th grade choir both earned perfect scores in the sight reading as well. Way to go, Wildcats. And in our last story today, Terry will have robots roll out. Sounds very interesting. Up and coming, we know him, we love him, and he's always here. Dave Kenny will have Auto Talk and Science in the News. You are watching Oxford News This Week on Oxford Community Television.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and this story is taken from Automotive News. And we're dealing with the exotic. Porsche is expanding the Taycan electric fastback lineup with a flagship Turbo GT model. The sports car maker will offer a 2-seat track-focused Weissach package on the new model, making the Taycan the first 4-door Porsche nameplate to have the option. The 2025 Taycan Turbo GT with the Weissach package is a track monster. Last month, it scored the fastest electric series production car title at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in Monterey, California, after lapping the track in under 1 minute and 28 seconds. The Turbo GT accelerates from 0 to 60 in 2.2 seconds and reaches 180 miles an hour. The Weissach model delivers a punchier 0 to 60 time of 2.1 seconds and maxes out at 189 miles per hour. Both models start at $231,995, including shipping. Deliveries begin this summer. The Taycan lineup will receive a substantial facelift this year to make it a more Porsche-like, dialing up power, range, and acceleration. The design is tweaked and the chassis and suspension are updated. Whereas the Taycan Turbo GT is Porsche's new performance leader, the Weissach trim is track-oriented. At peak power, both models deliver more than 1,000 horsepower. The Turbo GT features an up to 900 amp pulse inverter, which helps control the electric motor, delivering more power and torque than the 600 amp pulse inverter in the Taycan Turbo S. For greater efficiency, silicon carbide is used as the semiconductor material in the pulse inverter. The transmission ratio and gearbox are improved, with torque maxing out at 988 pounds-feet, Porsche said. The Turbo GT builds on the Taycan's lineup's sporty driving dynamics with a new chassis calibration function called Attack Mode. While the push-to-pass function available in other Taycan models provides an extra 94 horsepower for 10 seconds, Attack Mode delivers 67 horsepower of additional oomph, tunes the suspension for more aggressive driving, and increases the chassis rigidity. The Taycan Turbo's GT design hints at its power. Porsche developed a front spoiler with aero blades specifically for the top-of-the-line Taycan. An adaptive spoiler in the rear has an edge with a gurney flap in a high-gloss carbon fiber weave finish. The Taycan Turbo GT Weissach package is up to 157 pounds lighter than the Taycan Turbo S. Porsche uses carbon fiber in the B-pillars, the upper shells on the door mirrors, and side skirt inlays, among other components. A lighter luggage compartment and the removal of the electric soft closing mechanism in the trunk lid also trim weight. The 21-inch alloy wheels have relief milled spokes that also save weight. The ceramic brakes are more than 4 pounds lighter than those in other Taycan models thanks to design tweaks to the brake disc chamber and brake caliper housing. The Turbo GT Visoc option ditches the rear seats, floor and trunk mats, and the second charge port, saving 154 pounds compared to the Turbo S. The two-seater also uses less insulation material. Sam Fiorani, the Vice President of Auto Forecast Solutions, said the weight reductions and potentially improved handling test the water for future two-door electric sports car. Porsche hopes buyers are out there waiting for something like this, Fiorani said. And the new Taycan could prove that they're out there if they've got a few bucks. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
My son Ian was diagnosed with a brain tumor at the age of 16 months. The outlook was pretty rough. We had no hope until St. Jude rescued us. I mean, they saved him. But then it turned out he had a second cancer. To this date, we are 12 years into this journey, and from day one, we've never once seen a bill. It gave us the peace of mind to know that we're there with our son, and we're gonna beat cancer together. Now, he is doing really, really well. He's alive because of what St. Jude has done. He's here because of the doctors who came before, their blood, their sweat, their tears, of every day being in that hospital, the knowledge that has been accumulated and shared with everyone else around the world. This is how we get rid of this, how we help kids beat cancer all over. It's the future.
Back with you on Oxford News this week. It's time for sports, and yes, great news here. Former Oxford High School student is scoring big as from the 2020 graduating class. Trey Townsend, now a forward at the Oakland University, the Golden Grizzlies. That men's basketball team scored a career high 38 points in the Horizon League Championship. His 38 points were the most scored by a single player in the Horizon League Tournament championship game since way back in 1996. Coming up on the 12th of March, appearance, the biggest Townsend's career, a team faced against Milwaukee, the Panthers. That game was seen nationally on ESPN. Townsend became the second player in the past 25 seasons to score 35 or more points, record and rebounds of 40 or more. Again, a great conference championship. He joined Kevin Durant with a final score of the game, 83-76. Golden Grizzlies will advance to the NCAA tournament. This is the first time they've been there since 2011. Once again, congratulating former Oxford High School student and basketball player Townsend. Good luck, and the Grizzlies, good luck in your championship endeavor. Want to thank Oxford, thank and also congratulate Oxford senior captain Olin Chardstrom, is now the two-event state champion. This Division I MHSAA boys swimming and diving state finals took place on the 8th of March and the 9th at Oakland University. All swimmers and divers who qualified were in attendance for Oxford. This meant Olin Chardstrom, as well as a diver, Liam Pearson, had 200 medley relay team of Chardstrom, Ian Frank, Chris Jasper, and Stephen Matas. Chardstrom won the two individual state championship titles in the 100 backstroke, also at 48.1. The swim was also automatic All-American time and became the second fastest 100 backstroke time ever swam at the Michigan State meet. He also became a state champion of the 100 freestyle with his All-American qualifying team of 45.03. Diver Liam Pearson took home a fifth place with the All-American consideration score at 394.25. Finally, the 200 medley relay, easy for me to say, earned a 12th place finish with a final time of just over 37 seconds. Wonderful way to cap off the winter sports season with the swimmers and divers, and of course having a former grad going to the NCAA championship. That's sports. Dave Kenny will be back with a segment. Terry and we'll close it all out. You're watching Oxford News This Week.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and this story is taken from New Scientist. The U.S. government has proposed a tax on cryptocurrency miners in an effort to reduce the industry's sizable environmental impact, but experts warn that the move could simply shift the problem elsewhere. Cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin, are kept secure through a process called mining, which involves intense computation and high electricity consumption. The latest data from University of Cambridge suggests Bitcoin accounts for 0.69% of all electricity used worldwide. In the U.S., the government estimates that up to 2.3% of the nation's electricity use in 2023 was due to just 137 mining operations, while a 5% increase in electricity costs in Texas has been directly linked with increased demand caused by miners. President Joe Biden's proposed budget for the fiscal year 2025 points out that cryptocurrency mining has negative environmental effects and can have environmental justice implications, as well as increased energy prices for those who share an electricity grid with digital asset miners. As such, the budget proposes a 30% tax on miners' total energy cost, applying to both power from the grid and any electricity generated by the miners themselves. It would be phased in with a 10% charge starting in 2025, a 20% charge in 2026, and finally a 30% charge in 2027. An identical tax was proposed by Biden last year, but it failed to pass the House of Representatives and Senate and become law, hurdles that the second attempt now faces. The move, which comes as Bitcoin has surged to an all-time high above 56,000 English pounds in recent weeks, has attracted fierce criticism from the cryptocurrency industry. Dennis Porter at the Satoshi Action Fund tweeted that it was a backdoor ban on mining and promised we will aggressively oppose this attempt at targeted discrimination without hesitation. New Scientist approached several large Bitcoin mining companies for comment on the proposed tax. Block Mining, Frontier Mining, and HIVE Digital Technologies did not respond, while TeraWulf declined to comment. But taxing the industry could have unintended consequences, says Alex de Vries at VU Amsterdam in the Netherlands. When China banned Bitcoin mining in 2021, it led to companies moving their operations to other countries like Kazakhstan, where fossil fuels, including coal, produce more than 90% of the nation's electricity supply. It probably wouldn't really solve anything, says de Vries, as mining operations are highly mobile and can be based elsewhere, moving from country to country to find better regulatory environments or cheaper power. Climate change is a global problem, and if you're moving emissions from one country to the next, if you make the power source worse, you're actually exacerbating the global problem. Ideally, you want to tackle this at a global level, says de Vries, if you want to cut down emissions of these miners. De Vries has long advocated for Bitcoin to follow the cryptocurrency Ethereum, which changed the way it operates, doing away with mining and slashing its power consumption by 99.99%. But he says that most Bitcoin developers have shown no interest in the change, and that's the way it is now. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny.
And in our last story this week, robots rollout. Oxford High School first robotics competition team recently began their season by making it to the semifinals and winning an award. They competed at the first in Michigan District Lake City event at Lake City High School last week. Oxford's first team is known as the Oxford RoboCats, or Team 2137. Through their qualifying matches and alliance selection, the RoboCats finished with a competition record of 9-3, ultimately placing 7th out of 39 teams. That's pretty darn good.
That's pretty good. Yeah, the Robo teams have just gotten better over the years in this Oxford community, and I mean, it's good that we cover them, and I know we've had some videos on them over the years, but congratulating. I mean, those,
a lot of
hey,
competition.
those are the guys that are going to be working in the auto companies.
Yeah, those
and stuff.
engineers at hand.
They're
Yeah.
the ones that were going to go, what do we have to do now, or whatever. So,
Yeah,
so
good for
tell,
them.
you know, because it's still March and
Thanks.
it's reading month, so where are you at now on the reading part of it all?
Oh, I'm into another book. It's called The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. It's set
wow.
in Sweden. It's been highly recommended to me by a bunch of friends of mine. I'm not in a reading club, but because I listen to them on the way to work or on
right.
my way to anywhere, I seem to be able to get through quite a few books. But
No, was that the one
this
that
is
was
a
through,
good one.
there's 2 movies on that, right? No?
Is there? I don't.
Well, I mean, maybe I could be. I
The
could
Girl
be,
with the Dragon
I could be
Tattoo.
wrong on
It's
that, but there's also something similar to that title.
Getting exciting. I'm about 2 to 3 hours into it. It's a 15-hour book
Right.
for audio, but it's fun.
And not
It's
that we
fun.
want to negate, but you know, once March ends, we still want to get involved with the. I mean,
Yeah.
we're reaching out. I
Readings.
mean, we had a young group that has had a book club we talked about a few weeks ago. A young lady that owns a bookstore. She's got to get a hold of us
Right,
because
right.
you know, reading should continue on. But I know
Right.
March is what we focused on, and I'm
Yeah.
glad you read a lot more
And
than
it's
I do.
amazing. It takes you around the world. So in the last 3 months, I've been to Biloxi, I've been to Florida, I've been out east,
Yeah.
and now France. I was in France, and now I'm in Sweden. So
Oh, Nelly.
it takes you everywhere. So
Now-
if
no-
you
no-
don't have time to read, get those audios.
So now, when you're doing this, let me ask you this. Okay, I'm new to the on the phone thing or whatever it is. So how do you know? Like, let's say you get to your destination, you stop. How does it know to go back?
It stops where you stop. You know,
Oh.
like if I turn my car off and I hit pause.
Pause. Okay.
But you can also, there's all kinds of ways that you can zoom backwards, zoom forward.
Okay.
If you miss something, sometimes somebody will talk to me while I'm listening.
Oh.
So you can go back 15
Do you ever
minutes.
miss a phone call? Do you ever say, I'm not going to answer that phone call? I'm in the middle of a book.
I've done that, and I've also been known to sit in my driveway until that chapter's done. But I get these books through the library. I think
Okay.
we talked about this before. Libby is the
Okay.
program that the libraries use, so I'm getting them for free. I used to pay for them. It was like $20 a book.
I know there's like many things you can join, and like I said, even you know we're talking about the one lady who just opened up a bookstore too. You know, we want to highlight this stuff, and again, we'd like her to call, even if it's after March. Feel free to call us.
Yes, please. We did have a call into her. I also want to say there's a lot of local authors
Oh,
that
yeah.
go to Books and More or whatever
Yeah.
they're any of the bookstores, Amazon.com, and look up local artists for the Oxford community.
the one lady in
I also
Addison.
have 4 friends in the last month and a half that have published books.
Hey, what was that
It's
you were
kinda-
talking about on last big show? Because I forget as soon as sometimes. What was the name of that book that was about your family or something like that?
Oh, that's called The Straits of Detroit.
Cool, and it's based
about-
on a lot. If you see a lot of roads down there, she's related to a lot of the roads.
Yeah, my several generations back, my family actually helped discover Detroit with Cadillac and
Oh, cool.
L'Esperance and St. Aubin, and that's all
Joseph
my family.
Campo?
Campo, that's
I
my
remember that
family
one.
as well.
Okay.
It's fun. It's fun to read your history too. So just reading is great stuff.
Good stuff, and I'm glad we're highlighting it. But again, we want
Yes.
you to read all the time.
Read
I'm going to
on.
start reading. It's nice to have a nice summer read or something like that, right?
Sure is.
Anyways, I
Yep.
think we wrapped this one, Dana, don't you think?
Yeah, I think we did pretty good this week.
I got to do my part. This is where I get to read again. OCTV can be viewed on Spectrum Charter Channel 191, Channel 99 on the ATT Universe system. You can check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble. I think you said another one last week, didn't you?
Fire Stick.
Fire Stick. And you know where I watch? Where's that at, Terry?
Roku. your
Roku is,
favorite.
I'm the Roku king there. If you have a show idea, maybe you'd like to be a volunteer at our TV station, we'd love to have you. OCTV you can give our office a call, 248-628-9658. Ask for Dave. A very special thank you to our producer, director, and stage manager, Kyle Snage, the videographers and story people that get all the information. News writer Allison Miller, our editors that edit the program. We want to thank our programmer, Connie Miller, and our own station manager, who is also our anchor, Terry Stiles. For everyone here at OCTV, I'm Jim Hughes, hoping you have a safe week, and I do invite you back next time when again, Terry, you and I will both take a look at Oxford News this week.
And happy spring.